Hey guys, how we doing? If you are just tuning in, it takes me a minute to get this live stream set up. And I'm sorry we're like 15 minutes late because we had guests over and I forgot about it. So just bear with me as I set this thing up. Okay, how are we looking there? Again, if you're tuning in after the fact, give me just, in fact, you can fast forward to 2 minutes if you're just tuning in because it takes me a minute to get this thing set up. I apologize. Hopefully that looks all right. Can you guys hear me okay? Ed, Alex, you guys, John, you guys can hear me okay? Looks good, man. Okay, great. Thanks. All right, hang tight just a little bit. Let me get everything plugged in here. How's everyone doing? You guys had a good week? You guys been getting out riding? Greetings from Bozeman. All right, what's up, Bike Steamboat? Submit from Mexico. Wow, what's up, man? Good to have you. Yes, there are plans to ride the Epic Evo. I didn't see who said that. I'm trying to get the thing set up on my computer. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, if you're not watching it live, fast forward a couple minutes. You have to watch all this garbage of me getting the video set up. Oh, whoops. All right, we'll be talking about the transition Spur. Well, that versus the Ripley as well, of course. And let's get that turned off. Let me pop the chat out here. All right, we are in business. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna move this one more time here. Well, hey, thanks for joining me for the live stream, guys. Hopefully you guys liked the last couple videos I did. I know the Spur video and the actual Spur versus the Ripley video were not all that different, but that's kind of the way it goes sometimes. That wasn't a bike. The Spur versus the Ripley video was not a video I initially was going to do, but I had so many requests for it, I thought, what the heck, let's do it. Man, the Spur was a surprisingly good bike. I was really, it was pretty impressive. So we'll get into that, talking about the Spur in just a minute. Let's just let a few more people trickle in here, and yeah, say hello. If you're on the chat, say hello and hit the like button for me. Only 2 people have hit the like button so far, so the more that hit it, the better that helps the algorithm. Yeah, Justin from Moab, what's up, man? I'll probably be making a trip down to Moab here in the next 6 weeks or so. And man, if you guys haven't been to Moab, it's got some incredible riding. I need a Coco Joy. Bear with me just a sec. And I apologize, guys, for getting a late start here. Live streams are always sponsored by Coco Joy coconut water. No added sugar, no preservatives, not from concentrate. Is that gonna, that might not pick up. If you guys have never had this, it's incredible. It's good stuff. It's a local Utah company. A lot of these, I guess it's kind of like an energy drink, maybe. It's a natural. It gives you all the natural stuff you need. So like after a bike ride, this is incredible to have. It just gets you all your sodium back in you and all that stuff. Anyway, they sponsor. Well, I guess they sponsor the channel. They don't pay me anything, but they give me free Coco Joy now, which is great. And you guys can get 10% off. It's either 10 or 15% off. You know what? I actually think it's 15% off. Anyway, you go to cocojoy.com and place an order. You get 10 or 15% off by using the promo code yumyum at the checkout, and then it'll give you free shipping as well. And it's delicious. Yeah, Brian, Coco Joy is a Utah company. They get their coconut water from Vietnam, but the actual headquarters and shipping and all the distribution is handled here. And they have an office here in Utah as well. All right, looks like we got CJ from Georgia. Wow, that's great. And who else is in here? Say hello if you're in here. We got Tim in here. Which MV handlebars and what rise do you have? I honestly don't know. I think they're the M6s. The M6 standard bar. I don't know. Sorry, man. All right, let's talk transition spur real quick. Actually, before we dive into the spur, let me just mention real quick. Tons of people have been clicking more on the links I have in the description below my YouTube videos. Below my videos is a description that I kind of talk about, but in that description is a link to all the stuff that I use. The helmet, the glasses or goggles, the jerseys, the bikes. If you buy any of those things using those, if you click on those links and go to Competitive Cyclist and end up buying something, they end up paying me a small commission. It's a huge help. And in the last 2 months, a lot more people have been doing their regular mountain bike shopping. They started their regular mountain bike shopping, starting using those links in my description to get them to Competitive Cyclist, and then go buy whatever you need on Competitive Cyclist. It doesn't cost you guys anything. If it's something that you are going to buy anyway, by clicking on those links first, it has really helped the channel a lot in terms of me making a little bit of extra money. It's not a lot of money, but it's a little something that helps for all the time that I spend doing this. So for those of you who have supported the channel and supported me in that way, I just want to, first of all, say thank you. I know you don't have to do it. It's one extra step for you guys when you do your shopping for mountain bike stuff, but it's been a huge help for me, and I feel that, and it's nice to be compensated, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So let's dive into this. Let's talk about the transition spur. What are your main questions that you have? If you have any, list them in the chat here, and I'll try to do a good job of answering them. First things first, the Spur, it looks like an overbuilt, burly bike, but I actually got a chance. I had a lot of people ask me what the weight difference is on the frames between the Spur and the Ripley, and Salt Cycles was able to weigh a stock medium frame and on the Ripley and a stock medium frame on the Spur, and the Spur is almost a full pound lighter, which is crazy. I just can't believe it. So yeah, it's a lightweight bike. I mean, that's pretty cool, because I've thrown a lot of money at my Ripley. I've upgraded like everything possible, carbon dropper post and just everything. I just thrown all the money at to make it as lightweight as possible, really lightweight wheels, and I'm down to just under 25 pounds. And the Spur, you can get just the stock $6,000 build, and it's right there at 25 pounds. So if you start throwing money at that Spur, you're going to drop down in that 23.5 to 24 pounds, probably pretty easy. We also had a chance to weigh a size medium Revel Ranger frame, and it was 4 ounces heavier than the Ripley, which doesn't surprise me. That suspension system that Revel uses is a little robust, a little overbuilt. And a little spoiler alert, but I'll be riding the Revel Ranger, I think, this week. The guys at Revel sent one to Salt Cycles from Colorado here to Utah, and so I should have that for about a week, starting in a week or so, whenever they can get it built up. So anyway, that's the weight on the Spur. Very cool. I think a lot of people thought that this would be a cross-country bike. And it wasn't in my opinion a pure cross country bike. It's a trail bike in my opinion. The Spur is a trail bike that can build up really lightweight, but the geometry, I mean, it's not the geometry is not that different. Go hop over on Pivot's website. It's not that different than the Pivot Switchblade or the Ibis Ripley, for example, which are both certainly trail bikes, right? The Transition Spur is a lightweight trail bike, 100%. I used to own a Rocky Mountain Element, which is a purebred cross-country race bike. It doesn't ride anything like that Transition. So let me just hop in the chat here and see if we can answer some people's questions right away. I'm just filtering through these comments to see if there's any questions. Can you talk about suspension setup, high speed, low speed compressions, and how much rebound you run on these short travel 29ers? All right, yeah. So Dustin B. Johnson is asking about suspension setup. Now, each bike's a little different, right? And some bikes are pickier than others, and that's a function of the anti-squat I'm not an engineer and I don't know everything about this suspension stuff, but it's my understanding that bikes with 100% anti-squat at the recommended sag point, it pedals the most efficient right there. But then you have other bikes like the Revel Rascal, for example. The Revel Rascal has 100% anti-squat through its entire travel. So the Revel Rascal, I know we're not talking about that bike right now, but the Revel Rascal is a really easy bike for me to set up. And I think that's honestly why I like that bike so much. If you don't follow the channel regularly, or if you just haven't been here for a while, I owned a Revel Rascal for a while. And the thing that made me fall in love with that bike, I'm realizing now, is that I could set it up at 25% sag, like 11 millimeters of sag, or 14 millimeters of sag, at 32 or 33% sag, and it still pedaled amazing, and it still felt really supportive. Other bikes, for example, I'll just say the Yeti SB100 is one that comes to mind, that if you don't set that suspension up properly, it kind of rides like crap. The Yeti SB100, if you try to put 25% sag into that bike, into that shock, to make it, just a little stiffer or more, just a little stiffer. You want a little bit more PSI in that rear shock. If you set up at 25%, that bike rides like garbage, okay? I think recommended sag is 32% sag on a Yeti SB100. I know that because I used to own that bike, like a year and a half ago. And so some bikes are really picky, like the Yeti, for example. That SB100 is real picky. You got to get the setup, the air pressure and everything set up just right. But other bikes like the Revel Rascal, really easy, okay? Now my Ibis Ripley, for example, I follow. So the first thing I do when I get a bike, guys, is I try to aim for the exact recommended sag as recommended by the manufacturer. So with the Ibis Ripley, since that's my personal bike, I go right to the recommended. And most of these bike manufacturers, as you guys know, on their websites have like a setup guide, right, for their suspension. So I try to go off those recommended settings, and the first thing I do is I go out into my front yard or into my backyard, just wherever I can find a curb. And what I'm doing is I'm compressing down on the fork and the shock separately, right? And I'm trying to get 90% on that shock. I want the O-ring to drop down to where there's only 10% of the stroke left. That to me means, okay, I'm getting 90% of it as hard as I can in the driveway without the tires coming off the ground. That's going to be probably pretty close to where I want to be out on the trail. And then on the fork, I want to get like 80%. If I can get it down to where the O-ring comes up to where there's only 20% left, that's a good initial quick setup. That doesn't take too much time. Rebound, I'm just standing there pressing on the fork and watching it rebound. Like I press on the handlebars and try to get my hands out of the way and see how fast it will rebound. I want that front tire to come off the ground, and that back the tire will kind of roll forward. So the tire will roll backwards, toward you, like rotate this way, right? And anyway, once it does that, I just add one more. Once it won't pop off the ground anymore on its own from pushing on my handlebars, I'll add one more click faster on the rebound. And most of my forks, I'm probably 4, 5, or 6 clicks in from full fast on most of the forks I ride. And then the rear end, I sit on the saddle, I pedal off of a normal curb, and I just watch the shock compress into the travel, come back up to sag, and then settle on sag. If it goes up to sag and just stays there, it needs faster rebound. If it goes down into the sag, back up past the sag, and then past the sag again like that, that's too much rebound, in my opinion. It's too fast. And anyway, this could be a whole hour-long video just talking about suspension setup, and there's probably a lot more people out there who are better equipped to share this information with you. But I do set up I set up dozens and dozens of bikes all year long. So I've gotten, I think for me anyway, pretty good at setting up a bike, and I can feel right away if something's off. But the importance of getting your rebounds settings set up appropriately, especially on the rear end, on the shock. If it's too slow, meaning it goes down into the suspension travel and then barely comes back up to the sag point when you're just sitting on the saddle going off of a curb just at a walking speed. The problem with that is when you hit a bunch of rapid hits in succession as you're going down the hill, the shock packs out. And so it gets to the point where it's only using, you know, a third of the travel. It's not rebounding enough to get ready for the next hit, right? Not quite as bad, in my opinion, as a shock that has too much rebound and it's too fast. Then it just feels like it's skipping all the time. Although I would prefer that. I'd rather have a shock that has too much rebound or is too stiff than a shock that doesn't have enough PSI and is saggy and wallowy in the travel and gets packed out. Because then the bike just feels mushy and dead, and you know, it feels like you're riding a board. So anyway, Dustin, I hope I answered your question. Maybe I don't think I'm going to make a video on suspension sub, just because that's not, I don't want to spend that much time editing and doing all that crap. But I'm sure there's got to be other YouTube videos out there that have a really good setup guide. I would imagine that that's out there for sure, especially from someone who maybe knows more about me. And then compression. Okay, so I like to ride my compression, especially on my fork, kind of wide open for these little trails that I ride that you see me ride in my videos. But when I go ride more gnarly trails that are higher speed or have drops, or especially low speed technical stuff, like lots of like a slow speed rock garden, for example, I want to dial that compression up, because what it does is it keeps that fork standing up tall. Not when you go down a drop, like let's say you go down a little sketchy section that's steep and it's got a few little drops, and your tire goes into those big old bomb holes, you know, it drops into a 2-foot hole. You don't want your suspension going like this every time on your fork, especially slow speed, because you're getting hung up, you go over the handlebars. You want to kind of stand up tall in those situations. Anyway, sorry, I probably went way too in depth on that, but yeah, that's hopefully that answered your question. Back to the Spur. What are we, 17 minutes in on this thing? Sorry, guys. Ernest says, considering building up a Spur with Ibis S28 i9 Hydro wheels, what's your thoughts? Go or no? Totally go. Those Ibis wheels are awesome. I love those wheels, and they've got a good warranty too. John says, how does the Transition Spur compare to the Yeti SB115? I haven't ridden the SB115 yet, but I've ridden the Yeti SB100, which is basically the exact same bike. Hope I'm not breaking anyone's heart by saying that, but look at it. The geometry, I don't think, changed hardly at all. Like, I think Yeti missed a huge opportunity with making a new bike. I mean, the SB100's been around for like, what, 3 years or something? They should have just made a new bike. They could have slackened out that head tube angle. You know, what are you, like 67 and a half or almost 68 on that bike? That's not very interesting to me, because the reason why the SB115 is not interesting to me is because you got bikes like the Ibis Ripley and the Transition Spur that climb as well, if not better, than the Yeti SB100, which means it's going to be the same as the 115, right? That have way better geometry, like actual trail geometry that will give you more confidence, more stability at higher speeds, and just overall more fun. So why would anyone go buy a new Yeti SB115 today, unless you got to have a white bike? I'll give you that much. That Yeti SB115 white bike is money. It looks really good. But I just don't want to ride a bike with that geometry. No thanks, man. That's not, I'm not super interested in 67 and a half, 68 degree head tube angles these days, when you got bikes that climb just as well with 66, 66 and a half degree head tube angles. Bada boom, bada bing, Bob's your uncle. Let's see here. I also want to just give you my quick thoughts. I know we talked about this in the video. That's what the videos were about. But I just cannot express to you guys enough how surprising that Transition Spur was. Like, I'm not going to go buy one because it felt a little too long for me for like my short travel bike. For those who don't know, I usually own 2 bikes. One of them's kind of a longer travel, go have fun party bike. And the other one is the bike I ride like 4 or 5 days a week, which is right now my Ibis Ripley, right? That bike for me needs to feel really zippy, really sporty. It needs to feel really maneuverable, and it needs to feel kind of quick, you know, and really sporty, you know. So between the Ripley and the Spur for me, and again, I only had that bike for 2 days, right? And so it's not like I had it for a week and a half or something, but it maybe wasn't quite as sporty as the Ripley, which is a real bummer because I've been wanting to get a new bike. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with my Ibis Ripley. I love the bike, but I'm just kind of ready. I'm just sick of looking at that blue Ripley in my house. I'm just ready. I've got over 2,000 miles on that bike, and it's been great. But I just am kind of anxious. I've been kind of, for the last couple months now, I've been kind of anxious to find, okay, what's the replacement for the Ripley? And I've ridden a bunch of different bikes and nothing's really speaking to me. So for now, I just keep the Ripley. But I was really hoping that Spur would be it. And maybe I'll get another ride on it sometime soon here. And, you know, one thing about the bike that I rode, the Spur that I rode, is it had 800 mil handlebars. And I'm a pretty short guy and don't have a real wide wingspan, you know. And so 800 mil bars for me, whenever I demo a bike with 800 mil bars, it always throws me off just a little bit. I try to compensate for it. In fact, a number of demo bikes that have been sent to me, I just cut the bars. And then I give it back to the demo company or the bike shop or whoever it is. And I just come down to 760. I ride my bars at 750, but I just come down to 760 because who on a medium wants to ride 800 mil bars? Like, I can't imagine anyone my size wants to ride holding on to the bars like clear out here. Like, just right here is good, you know? Anyway. All right. Sorry, guys. I've gotten sidetracked so bad. We're 22 minutes into this thing. If you guys came here to talk just about the transition Spur, let me just apologize to you. If you just popped in here, welcome. We've been kind of sidetracked most of this time. And hit the like button if you haven't already. And now I'm going to start answering more questions in the chat. Tim says, when are you going to be riding the Izzo? Is it the Izzo or Izo or whatever the YT short trail bike is? I get that comment all the time. When are you going to ride that YT bike? The answer is probably never, guys. Like, I have no clue how to get that YT bike at my house to where I can ride it for a couple days without buying one. And I'm not going to buy one. So I have no clue how I'm going to ride it. I can't go to a YT dealership down the street and demo it, you know? So I don't know how I'm going to get it. So I hate to say that because it sounds like it's a bike that a lot of people are interested in, but I don't know. Yeah, the Ranger bike sum says Ranger would be a good fun comparison. It would totally be. Let's see here. What did I think about the Santa Cruz CC Tallboy? We'll talk about that in a minute, Sumit. I think I want to stay a little bit more on the transition for a little bit. Well, I guess Bikesum just asked again, what would you say riding the Spur, was it much lighter than the Tallboy or the Following? Yeah, the Spur was a much zippier bike than the Tallboy or the Following. Although I haven't ridden the new Following, but yeah, the Tallboy, it's not even close to my Ripley or the Spur in terms of it feeling sporty and quick and light on its feet. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just not. Dr. JBN says, what happened to the Rascal? It got sold for the Switchblade. Yeah. So the bikes I have in my living room right now, I keep all my bikes in my living room right over here. I've got a Switchblade, a Rocky Mountain Altitude, an Ibis Mojo 4, and a Yeti SB 130. My buddy Mark is borrowing my Ripley right now. He's had it for about a week. I went to California last week, and while I was gone, a couple of my friends came and grabbed some of my bikes to use while I was out of town. Let's see here. Let's see. Any more questions about the if we don't have any more questions about the transition Spur, then we're just going to turn this into a free-for-all, and everyone can just start asking whatever questions they want. We can just hang out. Let's see here. Dustin Johnson, thank you for the for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate that, man, and happy to talk suspension with you for a minute. So yeah, you're welcome. Let's see here. The replacement for the Ripley is the Ripley V5. Okay, yeah. I don't think Ibis is going to be making a new Ripley anytime soon. That bike's only been out for a year and a half, but I'll bet you next year in 2021 we probably see some new colors, I'll bet. So maybe that's what I end up doing. If I don't find a bike to replace my Ibis Ripley, maybe I just get, if they come out with new colors, which I would imagine they would after 2 years, maybe I just get a different color. Maybe that's what I do. Who knows? Lauren says, is Tyler, the guy in my YouTube videos who I'm guessing he's referencing, is Tyler a short travel fanboy too, or is he a medium travel guy? So Tyler loves short travel bikes also, the guy you see in a lot of my videos. He doesn't own one right now. He just owns a long travel bike. And the reason why is because that guy sends it. Like, he hits the biggest jumps and the biggest drops, and he goes at crazy, stupid fast speeds downhill. So right now he just has a long travel bike. Although he's building up a Yeti SB130 right now, lunch ride. So that's kind of I guess that's kind of a mid-travel bike, yeah. All right, let's see here. MTB Trail Rat says, thank you for the $2.99 super chat, man. Does it descend as well as the Santa Cruz Tallboy? Thanks. Does Transition Spur descend as well as the Tallboy? No, not at all. It's good, but the Ripley and the Transition Spur don't descend as well as the Tallboy. The Tallboy has this really unique, like bottomless fill. All these new, over the last couple of years, Santa Cruz has really changed their suspension style to this lower link, as you guys already know from seeing the bike. But when they did that, it provided out this like incredible bottom out resistance. I'm not a big guy, so I don't bottom out a lot of bikes to begin with, but I've bottomed out all my Ibis bikes, every single one of them. The HD5, the Ripley, obviously, the Ritmo. It's just, they have a pretty linear suspension, and so you can kind of get through the travel kind of quick, which doesn't bother me. That's the type of bike I like to ride, though. That's if I have any bias at all when I do these reviews, that would be it. I really like bikes like that. And then you have other bikes like the Santa Cruz brand, which most of their bikes, in my experience, don't bottom out really, really at all. At least not for me. Rocky Mountain's kind of that same way. They don't bottom out real easy for me either. All right, so hopefully that answers your question about the Tallboy. The Tallboy the Tallboy is a really cool descending bike. If that Santa Cruz Tallboy, the current Tallboy, if that could be built up to be in that 26-pound range, I think that's a bike I could be pretty excited about. But it doesn't. You have to spend, it's a 28-pound bike pretty much all day long, which is a shame because it just descends like a much longer travel bike. I mean, that and the Revel Rascal are both bikes that really punch way above its weight. Let's see here. Max says, if I owned the Transition Spur, would there be any components that you would change? Well, yeah, for me, I prefer riding Shimano drivetrain. So if I remember correctly, Transition doesn't offer of the 3 or 4, I can't remember if they have 3 or 4 build kits that come on their bikes, but of the ones that they offer, they're all SRAM, sorry. They're all SRAM drivetrain, XO1 or GX or whatever. And so for me, I'd rather have Shimano. So that's what I would change. I would swap it out to XTR. And I would have shortened the handlebars, of course, too. All right, let's see here. Okay, John says Ripley versus Spur on ledgy steep climbs. I would say Ripley probably. Well, yeah, I would say Ripley for me. On ledgy, steep, like difficult climbs, I'm a little spread out a little bit too much. I'm 5'8" on a medium spur. I felt like maybe the Ripley might climb just a little better in maybe technical stuff, possibly. I don't climb a ton of technical stuff that often, especially not when I'm doing my reviews, because where I do my reviews tend to be more tame, mellow trails. But yeah, does the Spur feel slow or long to handle on tight, twisty trails compared to, say, the Ripley? Bike Slim's asking. Yeah, I pointed that out in the video. Sometimes the Spur can feel a little long. It feels, it's weird, but I ride my Switchblade a lot, and it feels more like my Switchblade, actually. Not that it's as plush, and at higher speeds, the Switchblade's obviously going to feel a lot smoother, but like I said, for a 120 mil travel bike, especially with that SID fork, I thought it was just going to feel a lot different than it did. And I had never ridden the SID fork before, and so I guess I didn't know what to expect. So maybe my expectations were, I was just wrong about the bike. And so after riding the Transition Spur, it felt, it's so weird to say this, but it felt like more stable and more composed than even my Ripley, which my Ripley has a 140 millimeter Fox 34. So it's really weird to say that a 120 travel SID felt more composed than the 140 Fox 34, but it did. So, it was really weird. Turning it and getting through really tight spots, it just didn't feel quite as nimble and easy to maneuver as my Ripley, which was that's the thing. Man, when I edited that video, I was like constantly using the word surprised, and like I even edited a lot of the things out where I said surprised because I started to sound like a broken record. But yeah, it was really surprising. So let's see here. Getting back into the chat. Hey Bill, how are we doing in the chat, by the way? Is it a mess in there, Bill? You doing all right? Okay, so I think unless there's any more questions about the Spur, I'm going to go back up and read some of these other comments. Edgar says the Ripley is an amazing bike, but I really miss a big bike. Definitely. Oh, he's going to mullet his Switchblade. Cool. Yeah. A lot of people have talked to me about mulleting a Switchblade. Just recently, someone talked to me about it. I'm actually going to mullet my Rocky Mountain Altitude. Maybe we can talk about that here in a minute, but I just want to make sure for those people who came to talk about the Spur that they can get that. Although I think people really come to these live streams just to talk about whatever and just hang out. And so maybe you guys prefer we just take the conversation that way. Anyway, sorry, if you wonder why I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I'm looking at my computer to read the chats. So I should maybe set this up so the camera is like more, I should turn my, let's see. Sorry, hang tight, guys. Let's see if that's better. That way I'm more, oh boy. Sorry guys, hang tight. As everyone leaves the chat now. Okay, I don't know. It's all crooked, but hey, at least I'm kind of looking more at the camera now. All right, so let's see here. I don't know if I see any more questions necessarily about the Transition Spur. So yeah, let's just open this up to talk about whatever. Well, real quick, I guess Bikesome says, so does the Ibis Ripley need to be all that more than the Spur? Okay, maybe I don't understand that question. Yeah, let's talk about the Rocky Mountain Altitude. This is a bike that I'm super excited about. For those of you guys who have been longtime subscribers of the channel, you'll know that, sorry, I'm fixing this camera one more time. I apologize. You'll know that I love Rocky Mountain bikes, man. I just think they're number one, they're not very common in my area, so there's not a million of them around. But the new Rocky Mountain Altitude that just came out like in the last couple weeks, it is like mind-blowingly good. Like it's more composed at speed than say my Switchblade or my SB130, my lunch ride SB Yeti SB130, and it pedals just as good. I hate to say this, maybe even better, because it's 160 mil travel in the rear, 170 travel in the front, 29er, or 27.5 if you're on a medium or a small. So mine's a 27.5 rear, and then I got a 160 fork on the front, 29er, so I've mulleted it. And I think, I don't know for sure, but I think the head tube angle is 64 degrees, head tube angle, and the seat tube angle is 75 degrees. So it's like almost perfect geometry. To me, perfect geometry is like on a long travel bike, like a 76 degree seat tube angle, 65 degree head tube angle. So it's a little slacker, just ever so slightly, but man, the thing is unbelievable. Like, I'm really excited to get more time on that bike. There'll be a video coming. Let's talk about the videos too that I have real quick. Because a lot of people said, hey, where's that Ibis Mojo 4 video? Or hey, where's this? So the videos are all unorganized at this point. So I've got like a bunch of videos I just need to edit. They're all filmed. So like I've got a Yeti SB130 lunch ride video. I just got to edit and upload, right? It's ready to go. I just got to upload it. I've got my Pivot Switchblade long-term review, because I've got hundreds of miles on that now. I've had it for 4 or 5 months, and I want to do a long-term review of that bike because the video that I did initially on that bike, it had Fox live valve on it, which makes the bike ride quite a bit different, and it's just a different bike with that on there. So the bike I've had has no Fox live valve on the Pivot Switchblade. That video is coming out. I've got a Ibis Mojo 4 video that I started talking about like 2 months ago, but I just have not come around to edit that footage yet and get it uploaded. I'm just too busy. And then I've got my, oh geez, I forgot. I've got the Propane, the Bikes Direct bike, the Propane Tai. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. I've got that bike that I've got to do. And I've got my Rocky Mountain Altitude that I've got to do. Salt Cycles called me and said, hey, you're going to, Revel's sending us a Ranger for you to demo. It should be here any day. It's going to be here this week. So I've got the Ranger video to do. People are going to want to know how that compares to the Ripley. So we might have to spend time doing that. I got another buddy who has a Specialized Epic Evo, and we got to get that filmed before snow hits the ground. So I've got a lot of stuff going right now. I'm just trying to get stuff filmed. We'll get it uploaded onto the channel as soon as we can. I'm just super busy, and I mean, yeah. It just get busy. I don't get editing stuff. So, all right, let's hop back in the chat here. What were we talking about? We were talking about the Rocky Mountain Altitude. I don't know that this audience is that interested in seeing the Rocky Mountain Altitude, so maybe we don't need to talk about it here. I might be the only guy that's interested in Rocky Mountain, and that's cool. But in terms of like new bikes that I'm excited about, I hate to say this, but like I could probably just sell the Yeti SB130 lunch ride, sell the Switchblade, and just ride the Rocky. That's how impressed I am with it. I just think it's really cool. I just keep looking at it. And the paint job is really cool. It's fun to have a bike that you think looks cool. Hey, don't eat all that popcorn without me. I want to eat some of that with you. Let's see here. Let's go to... Carmen says, do I notice any difference between 2 piston brakes versus 4 piston brakes on the Spur? Yeah, definitely. In fact, I've said this before, and I'll just say it again here since this is a different audience than my last live stream possibly, and that is that if the Ripley, or any bike for that matter, but if the Ripley were my only bike, I would switch the fork to a Fox 36, keep it at 140 millimeters of travel, and I'd switch the brakes out to 4 piston brakes for sure. It just makes a big difference, even for a lightweight rider or a smaller rider like me. It just makes the bike feel a little bit more confidence inspiring. That's how I would ride that bike. And then I'd have 2 wheel sets for it. A wheel set like I have on there right now, which is more cross-country oriented, then a wheel set with beefier tires for those steep days. And I think that would be a pretty fun way to have that bike. All right. Any other questions you guys have for me about mountain bike stuff? Michael says, yeah, sell all the extra bikes. I really need to. My bike room is filling up with bikes right now. So if you're watching this and you are interested in a size medium Yeti SB130 lunch ride, or a size medium Pivot Switchblade, or a size medium Ibis Ripley, DM me on Instagram right now. If you're interested, I'm willing to sell any one of those 3 bikes right now. And the problem is they're built out, they're spec'd out with full XTR everything, super nice carbon rims. All of them have MV cockpit. The Yeti and the Pivot both have MV wheels. So I spent a ton of money on all these bikes, and so they're kind of expensive. That's the only problem with me selling these bikes, is that they cost a lot. But you're getting like a $10,000, $11,000 bike because it's just upgraded. I mean, none of them have the stock dropper post. I always upgrade to the carbon KS Lev dropper post, which is really expensive, but I like them because they're like a half-pound lighter. The cranks on my Pivot Switchblade are the E-Wings, those all aluminum cranks, and those are super expensive. So, but anyway, if you're interested in any one of those 3 bikes, my Ripley, my Switchblade, or my Yeti, hit me up. I'd probably be willing to sell any one of those bikes. Let's see here. John says, I can't wait to see your review of the Ranger and the Epic Evo. Dude, me too. I am so excited to ride. I'm especially excited to ride the Epic Evo. That bike looks pretty rad. And by the way, he likes, oh, cool, you like Rocky Mountain too. Me and you are the only guys that like Rocky Mountain. There you go. Okay. Jukas says, what do you think about the Switch Infinity versus DW Link versus VPP on the Santa Cruz? Man, they're just all so different, man. I think my favorite is DW Link. The way Ibis does DW Link is my favorite. It's the most playful bike. It doesn't have that real deep feeling that you get from those Santa Cruz bikes. And then Switch Infinity on the Yetis, man, it's weird. It's the weirdest thing. Not all the Yetis feel the same. It's weird. You could blindfold me and put me on Ripmo or HD5 or Ripley, and I honestly think I would know I was riding an Ibis bike. Same thing with the Santa Cruz. You could blindfold me and put me on a Hightower or a Nomad or a Tall Boy, and I think I probably would guess that I was on those the Santa Cruz. But if you put me on a Yeti, I don't know for sure if I would be able to tell, because the Yeti SB150 feels so plush and so like deep and bottomless and like it's crazy. And then you ride like a Yeti SB130 and it feels kind of harsh, you know? It doesn't have the same characteristics. So yeah, I don't know. I think of all of them, I like DW Link the best though, the way Ibis does it. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Tim's saying to do the Mojo versus Ripley video. Planning on doing that. I'll for sure talk about both those bikes for sure. Bill's saying that he prefers the external routed brake line on the transition Spur. He says, hey, if you switch the brakes, you'll really appreciate the external routing on the transition Spur. Yeah, that's right. The problem is I never work on my own bikes at all. So like for me, I'd rather just have it all internal. It looks better. Brian says if he could afford it, he'd be over to pick up the Ripley right now. Hey, if somebody wants it, I just got to find a replacement for it though. Michael, yeah, if you want the Ripley, hit me up on Instagram, guys. It's just MTB yumyum on Instagram. And if you don't follow me there, it's kind of fun. I don't post a lot into the feed, but I do post a ton on the stories. Just like random stuff about my life or what I'm thinking about or with the kids, out biking, out surfing. In the winter, there's lots of ski stuff that I post on my stories because I don't mind just posting random stuff on there because it deletes after 24 hours anyway. So if you see it, great. If you don't, you don't. No big deal. Let's see here. Ben says, have you had any issues with the KSLEV carbon droppers? Nope, I haven't had a single problem with those things. They've been amazing. I don't know what other people's experiences with dropper posts, but I've had more problems with, years ago I had problems with the RockShox Reverb droppers. They were terrible. I don't know what they're like today. I haven't ridden one in a long time. But I have had problems with the Fox Transfer dropper, oddly enough. And that's When I had problems with the Fox Transfer, that's when I moved to the KSLEV carbons. I think it was on my Yeti SB100. I had a problem with the Fox dropper, and I was like, yeah, get it out of here, and put the KSLEV carbon on. Plus, I like the weight savings of the KSLEVs. But I rode on my Ripley what comes on Yetis? Is it bike yoke? I forget what Yeti sends their bikes with. What dropper post they send it with. I thought it was the bike yoke. Anyway, whatever one comes on the Ibises, I really liked it. If someone knows what they are, remind me. I think it's bike yoke, but I really liked it. But yeah, for me, I always go with the KSLEV carbon. I like the weight savings. Let's see here. Okay, Brian says, how is the dissector tire on the Transition versus other Maxxis tires you've tested? We've talked about this brand on previous live streams, but it's worth talking about again here. I ran Dissector 2.4, Recon 2.4 on the rear of my Ripley a long time ago, and I probably put 400 or 500 miles on it, and it was great. I really liked it. I've since switched to the Maxxis Recon 2.4 on the front of my Ripley with the Ardent Race 2.35 on the back, because I feel like you have almost as much traction, especially for the type of trails that I ride, which are kind of flowy, hard pack type trails. And I feel like I have just as much traction and it's a little bit faster rolling, a little bit lighter weight. So I kind of like that. Hey, Bill, thanks for all your work there moderating. I'm not seeing what's going on, but it sounds like someone's being a turkey and needs to be put in timeout. So thank you. Matt says, already selling the Switchblade? I thought possibly bike of the year. Dude, 100%. I think the Switchblade is probably bike of the year. I think for sure it is. I'm not selling it because I don't like it. I'm selling it because I've got like 6 bikes at my house right now, guys. Like, I can't ride all these bikes. Like, I ride like 4 or 5 days a week minimum, sometimes 7 days a week. And like, for me, if I'm riding that much, it needs to be on something that's fast rolling and efficient. And so I grab my Ripley most of the time. And so, how long have I had the Switchblade? I've probably had it 4 months or 5 months. That seems like a really short time for you guys maybe because you're thinking about owning a bike. But you got to remember, like, I'm trying to think of a good example to explain this, but like these bikes, I do own these bikes, but I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm getting these bikes for experimental purposes, kind of. I know that I'm a mountain biker, but like at this point of doing this channel for as many years as I've been doing it and riding so many different bikes all the time, like I no longer really have like this desire to own a certain bike. Like I kind of just buy them so that I can have the opportunity to ride them a lot. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm selling a bike because I don't like it anymore. Like when I sold the Rebel Rascal, for example, I still really love that bike. I would love to own. I would love it if the Rebel Rascal was still sitting in my living room. But if it was still here, if I still own the Rebel Rascal, that means I couldn't have bought the Switchblade because I'm not going to have $50,000 worth of freaking bikes sitting in my living room. Like I already have spent money on the Altitude, and I already bought the Altitude. I bought the SB130. I already owned the Ripley. I got the Switchblade. Plus I got my road bike. Plus I got my wife's road bike. Plus her mountain bike. I mean, that's 7 bikes right there that I already own. It's like, that's a lot of money in bikes because I always kind of buy the nicest stuff, So I guess what I'm saying is like, don't take it, if I sell a bike, don't take it as like I don't like the bike anymore. It just means like it's time to shuffle in the next experience or the next bike. Hopefully this is making sense. I don't know. So yeah, I'm not selling the Switchblade or the SB130 because I don't like them anymore. I wanted to own them so I could have a long-term experience. Otherwise, I'll only get 2 or 3 days on a bike, or if I'm really lucky, a company might send it to me for like a week or a week and a half. But beyond that, I don't get a lot of experience on a bike. And so sometimes a bike that I'm really excited about, like the Switchblade, I had to own it. The Rebel Rascal, I had to own it. The Yeti SB130 lunch ride, I wanted to demo that bike, and so I had to buy it to get it. And that's just kind of how that worked out. Is they didn't have a demo bike. I wasn't going to get one. I really wanted to try it, and so I just bought it, and I've actually really enjoyed it. But anyway, let's see here. Bikesome says Dissector is gone in a month and a half. Totally. The Dissector tire, for whatever reason, does not hold up. It does not last at all for some reason. Mine gets chewed up. In fact, I've already gone through 2 Dissectors on my Switchblade, and I just recently swapped it out for an Aggressor because, man, for some reason that Dissector just doesn't hold up in the EXO version. All right, well, we're about 50 minutes in, so we'll probably wrap this thing up in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Anything else you guys want to talk about real quick? I know in other live streams in the past, we talked a ton about tire setups, different bikes, comparisons. I've ridden tons of bikes, so if you have any questions, now's a great time to ask. Again, thanks to Bill and Mike for moderating. I've got about 5 or 10 more minutes I can hang out, and then I'm going to go watch The Social... What's that movie on Netflix? The Social Dilemma? I'm going to go watch The Social Dilemma with my wife and eat popcorn. And also, well, never mind. We're not going to talk about that. But yeah, John says Rocky Mountain Instinct overview. I have on a pretty highly credible source that the new Rocky Mountain Instinct is going to be dropping like any day now. So, which is no surprise. That bike came out like a while ago, like 3.5 years ago, maybe. I can't remember. So the new Rocky Mountain Instinct's coming out, and it's going to be sweet. Kind of wish I didn't already have the altitude, because then I could probably pick up that bike. But anyway, it's coming out. Man, John, go watch my review of the Rocky Mountain Instinct. I love the current Rocky Mountain Instinct is so similar to my Ibis Ripley. I just can't even explain to you how similar they are. And I love my Ripley. I mean, as you well know, if the Ripley had come out in 2020, the Ripley would be the bike of the year. Maybe the Ripley might be the bike of the year anyway, even though it came out in 2019. It was certainly the bike of the year in 2019, although the Yeti SB150, I think, also came out in 2019, and that might have been bike of the year as well. This year, Switchblade is going to be a tough one to beat. Roy says SB130 or Rascal. Oh, man. I would take the Rascal for sure. That Rascal was so cool. If you guys have never ridden the Revel bike, they're really, really cool. Max says, do I have any plans of riding a spot bike? I mean, it's the exact same as me riding a YT bike. It's like, how in the world am I going to get a spot bike to demo, you know? Like, Max, if you want me to ride the spot bike, email them and tell them to send me a bike. Yeah, if you guys ever have a bike that you want me to demo that I haven't, I would love to ride Scott bikes. I wish I could ride the Scott Ransom. My buddy Doug has a Scott Ransom and he loves it. Says it's the best bike he's ever had. I would love to ride one, but I don't know where to get one. I would love to ride more Evil bikes, but Evil's really hard to get. I would love to ride a Norco. I'd love to ride that Colorado bike, the Gorilla Gravity, or is it called Gorilla Gravity? I hope I'm not saying that wrong. I don't know what it is. You know, the weird looking chain thing. I would love to ride that bike. So if there's a bike that you guys want me to ride, if you really want me to ride it, instead of texting me on Instagram or on YouTube or an email, I get emails of people asking me to ride bikes. You guys should have sent that email to the bike company. Email YT and say, hey, send a bike to Yum to demo. That's how you guys can get, if there's a bike you want me to ride, that's how you do it. Let's see here. Johnny says, does being a heavier rider mean I should go for more suspension? Man, I get this question every single live stream. I'm not upset that I'm getting the question. I'm not upset at all, but I think if you're a heavier rider, I don't think having a bike with more suspension I don't see why it would make any difference because we're all riding at the same sag level, right? And your force against the bike's the same as my force against the bike because we're setting up the suspension tune or PSI to our weight. So it will react to the amount of force that we're pushing on it. So I think there's a huge misconception. I mean, I've never been 225 pounds, so I don't know what to tell you. But I can tell you my buddy Luke, who's 6'5", 225 pounds, rides an Ibis Ripley, and he loves it. Says it's the best bike he's ever ridden. So I don't know why. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe other people know something. I don't know. I don't know. I've never been a heavy rider, so I don't know. But there's two things that a lot of people tell me is, yeah, I don't know. Here's one thing I can tell you. My wife, who weighs like 115 pounds and is 5'5", I put her on the longest travel bikes that I can find because I want to give her a more cushy ride to have more suspension. That way, if she gets into a position, I also want a bike for her that has really slack geometry. Like, of all the bikes that I have that I want my wife to ride right now, it would be the Rocky Mountain Altitude. It's got the most travel, and it has slacker head tube angle. So if she gets into a situation that she's uncomfortable, the bike is just generally more forgiving and more easygoing because it has more travel. So that's what I do. And I'm not an expert. Go ask a mountain biking coach. There's people who know a ton more about mountain biking than me. But in my experience, if you're a heavier rider, what you're going to notice that I won't notice is if a frame is more noodly, if a frame is really soft. So if you're a heavier rider, I would not stay away from a short travel bike. It's just understand that you might flex that rear triangle a little bit more. And then the other thing to remember if you're a heavier rider, in my opinion, is you might consider a bike that has a solid rear triangle, right? That's all solid carbon. Because I would imagine, again, I'm not an engineer, but I would imagine that that bike is less flexy than a bike like the Transition Spur, or which is weird because the Spur was actually stiffer than my Ripley. What the heck? I don't know. I have no clue about that. But you know what I wish I had is I wish I had somebody else to do these videos with me who was 220 pounds, who could comment on all my bikes, and they would let you know. I've talked way too much about this. Anyway, moving on. And what is going on, Bill? Is there there's a lot of comments being deleted. Hope you're doing all right. I'm going to have to send you and Mike some gift cards or something for doing all this moderating tonight. Tim says, keep spending the money. We're living vicariously through you. Hey, it's fun to build up a $10,000 mountain bike. Okay, so a lot of people don't know this, but but what I do for a living is my buddy and I have a used car lot. It's just really small. It's just a small car lot that he and I sell cars at. And we've been doing that for 12 years. And sometimes people will come onto the car lot and they'll look at every once in a while. We usually never have a car under $10,000 just because there's not a lot of cars under $10,000, right? But people will come in to look at a $5,000 car and they'll say, man, is there any way you can do $4,500 or whatever? And I always look at the person, I think the same thing. I think, dude, you can't even buy a decent mountain bike for $4,500, and you got to pedal the freaking thing, and you want to buy a car for $4,500? Anyway, so I just think it's funny that, yeah, these are $10,000 mountain bikes, and yeah, I think it's totally ridiculous. Just let the record show that I think it's absolutely bonkers and mental and insane that bikes cost as much as they do. Trust me, if I had the money and the wherewithal and the engineering and everything to start a bike brand and I could do it cheaper, that would be the first thing I would do, because bikes are insane. I mean, look, you can buy a giant trans, an aluminum giant trans for $2,800. Comes with a dropper post, really good disc brakes, 1x 12 or 1x11 drivetrain. I can't remember if they're 1x12. Yeah, it's an Eagle. Yeah, you can. GX Eagle. It's 1x12. So you can get good drivetrain. It comes with tubeless ready wheels and valve stems. You can set it up tubeless, good tires, dropper post, everything. $2,800. I'm telling you, as a guy who rides $10,000, $11,000 bikes, there are enormous diminishing returns beyond that $2,800 Giant Trans. Once you go past that, you're not getting that much, honestly. Like, I can go out and ride that bike and be just fine with a Performance Fox 34. Actually, it might have a rhythm fork, which, by the way, is a really good fork. The damper in that rhythm fork's really good. But yeah, I mean, there's some diminishing returns past the $3,000 mark, I guess, a little bit. Past the actually about the $5,400 mark, there's almost no reason to buy a bike beyond $5,400 because Ibis sells you a good bike at about that $5,400, $5,700 bike. The Rocky Mountain that I bought was the $5,499 bike. It comes with all the right stuff. I can ride that bike all day long. I'm going to upgrade a few things on it actually, but my point is beyond that mark, whew, you are spending a lot of money for not very much. But guys like me who ride almost every single day, and I don't mind spending money on bikes, I don't mind spending the $10,000, $11,000, although I think it's absolutely mental. So I wish we were in a Zoom thing right now so I could hear everybody else talking and your opinions right now. Because all you guys have is the chat and I get to talk to all you guys, which is kind of dumb. But anyway, yeah. There's 140 people in here right now. Hit the like button if you haven't already, and we'll stick around. I was going to be done at the 1 hour mark. We're at an hour and 1 minute. I'm going to stick around for a while longer because I'm really anxious to read your guys' comments about how much bikes cost, because I guarantee you, I'm going to scroll down right now and think you guys are probably going to agree with me that bike prices are insane. Yeah, Michael Glidewell says transition spur at $6,000 mark for 25 pounds is a smoking deal. 100%. 1,000%. I should have said this more in the video that I published to YouTube, that the transition spur at the $6,000 mark, which I know that's a lot of money, but in terms of bang for your buck, you'd really have to go out and find me where there's a better deal, a better value in terms of good trail bike, good climbing bike, good descending bike, and 25 freaking pounds. Are you out of your mind? To get my Ripley under 25 pounds, I'm 10 grand into that thing pretty easily. So yeah, the transition, that's pretty amazing. Trailblazer says the Trance. Oh, and I want to mention one more thing. I recommend the Giant Trance to people on my Instagram direct messages, which if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me. But Instagram direct messages, emails, and YouTube messages, all the time I'm recommending the Giant Trance. And guess what? Salt Cycles is not a Giant dealer, okay? So I know Salt Cycles, I mention them all the time, and they are a huge support of me. Chris and those guys have done so much for me, getting me parts at what I'm assuming is probably their cost. They saved me a lot of money so I can buy a lot of bikes. I mean, we wouldn't get some of these reviews if they didn't give me the hookups that they give me, right? They're not giving me free stuff or anything, but they're giving me what I'm assuming is their cost, right? But I want you guys to know, even though I get good deals through Salt Cycles, and they only carry Yeti, Ibis, Pivot, Transition, Cannondale, right? I still recommend other bikes all the time because I don't work for Salt Cycles. I don't work for Ibis or Yeti. And I recommend the Giant Trance all the freaking time. And I just want you guys to know that I have tried to keep this channel as transparent as possible by not taking sponsors. Every other freaking YouTuber, I mean, I don't want to start complaining, but every other YouTuber has sponsors coming out the wazoo. This is the sponsor I have, a $1 drink. Big deal. So I've tried to do what I could to not be so overly influenced by bikes. Rocky Mountain, Salt Cycles does not sell Rocky Mountain, okay? And I recommend Rocky Mountain all the time. I freaking love the brand. So I just want to point that out real quick. And I wish I could review all the Giant bikes, but I don't have access to all the Giant bikes, you know? Anyway, Brian Harris says, laugh out loud, my Subaru cost me $4,000. Dude, good for you. That's like almost impossible to find. Let's see here. Yeah, everyone just give kudos to Tim for moderating, or to Bill. Give Michael and Bill a pat on the back for moderating. It's been a mess tonight. We've had a couple, I haven't read any of the comments. I don't know if they're inappropriate comments or just trolls in here hassling people. But Bill and Michael, thank you guys for taking the time to moderate tonight and clean up the chat. I really appreciate that. Let's just roll down through the old chat. Yeah, Michael Glidewell says three grand can get you about a 29-pound aluminum frame trail bike. Yeah, in most cases you could probably get right there around that 30-pound mark. Let's see here. I'm just going to read these last little bits. Just FYI, the Ritmo AF frame is only 3 force-pounds heavier than a carbon offering. Yeah, the Evil bikes are heavy, aren't they? They're a lot of fun to ride, though. My wife just bought a Spur X01. We are so stoked. Yeah, hey, congratulations, man. MTB Savant, what's up, man? Spur has a lifetime warranty from a company known for excellent customer service. That's another big deal. You know, a lot of companies, like I think Rocky Mountain, is a 7-year warranty on their frames. There's not a lot of people doing lifetime warranties anymore, are there? Okay, here's a question about wheels and hubs. Where'd that question just go? I scrolled down. Someone had a question about hubs. I don't see it anymore. Sorry. Oh, right there. How important are hubs like i9 Hydra hubs? Coco Joy's gone. How important are hubs? To me, that's one of the most important things you can upgrade. My favorite wheels have DT Swiss 240 hubs. They have 54 points of engagement in it, which is plenty, more than enough. In fact, once you get above 36 points of engagement, the difference between 36 points of engagement and 700 points of engagement, I know it sounds like a lot different, 700 points of engagement versus 36 points of engagements. It's really not that big of a difference because it's just not a big difference, okay? You have tons of, the wheel hooks up fine. So anyway, good hubs makes a big difference. It just helps you stay on the pedals more and not have that sloppy pedal. Yeah, there you go. All right. Any other last questions before we're done? I still have 30 comments before the end. I don't know if I'm going to get to all the comments here. Spur Ripley. Okay, someone, does the Spur, the Ripley have a larger triangle? I have no clue. Michael says Bill did all the work. Somehow he sees the trolls before I do. Hey, Michael, still good to have you here. You're the only two that I have as moderators, and I always appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for moderating. Any other questions before we call it a wrap? I'm gonna go watch The Social. Has anyone seen the Social movie on Netflix, The Social Dilemma? Apparently it's about how social media manipulates us to stay in front of our phones or whatever. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we're about done, guys. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll just say one more time, if you don't follow me on Instagram, head over there and follow me. It's kind of fun to do the stories on there. It's a pretty good time. If you guys are going to do online mountain bike purchases, for those of you who have been the last 2 or 3 months using the links below my video to start your shopping, I just got to tell you, it's been a huge help. It's nice to make an extra $200 or $300 off those links. It's not a lot, but man, it makes spending time editing and doing everything else worth it. I don't have anybody sponsoring the video, the work that I do or the videos that I do. It's just all, I just do it. And, you know, not that it has to be all about money, but it's nice to be compensated for the work that I do here. And I really appreciate you guys. I mean, the people who watch these live streams are my real, like, usually my real like subscribers, the guys who care about what I'm doing and want to support it. And I really appreciate that. I wish I had time to do more regular videos, a video a week or something like that. But hey, we've got probably 6 or 7 really cool videos in the works that I'm excited about. Ski season's coming. I'm gonna do some ski videos too for those of you who care to watch ski videos. Maybe you don't like that, but yeah, I mean, MTV Savant, you're on here. You're a YouTuber. You know, it's laughable how little we get paid from the ads on our YouTube videos. You know, there's just almost nothing. So he'll attest to the little amount of money we make. So when someone does use those links, it's a big help, and I really appreciate it. All right. Bikesome says, please promise to come back to YouTube after watching The Social Dilemma. Is it going to convince me? Are you telling me that The Social Dilemma is going to convince me to not watch, not do YouTube anymore? I don't think, look, here's the problem. I don't view myself as a YouTuber. I'm kind of like, well, there he is. There's Josh right there. Now, Josh, you are a YouTuber, buddy. You're a big time celebrity, which, by the way, I just want to mention this, Josh, if you're still on there. Oh, YouTubers make millions of critics. I want to tell you, Josh, if you guys haven't seen Josh's most recent video, it's about, well, it's not really about weight loss, although it is about weight loss, but he's going to do a thing with another YouTuber who, I forget who it was, but there's another YouTuber who wants to lose weight right now. And I watched your video, Daily Mountain Bike Rider, and I got to say, for everyone out there, if you guys want to get in shape, riding your mountain bike every day will do it. I'm 5'8", 140 pounds, and trust me, I have 3 brothers. I have another brother who's 5'9", 240 pounds. He's only an inch taller than me, and he weighs 90 to 100 pounds more than me, okay? And that's my brother Mike. And then my brother Brian, he's 5'10". He's probably right around 200 pounds. My brother Spencer is probably 210 pounds. I'm 140 pounds. I have the same genetics as them. I'm only an inch shorter than 2 of them, and 2 inches shorter than 1 of them. And I ride my bike all the time. Now, I could eat way better. If I ate better, I'd probably be even skinnier. But what I'm saying is what Josh is doing, who's the other one? Okay, Biker, a YouTuber called Biker. I don't know how to check out his channel, but you can go check it out. I follow Josh on YouTube, and I try to watch all of his videos because I think they're entertaining. But if you get out and ride your bike and get a heart rate monitor, the best thing you could do, you guys, for exercise. I've been riding with a heart monitor for freaking decades. Get a heart rate monitor, learn how to do interval training. After you build up a base, you want to build up a base first and then start doing interval training, and the pounds will just come off. If I stop riding, my weight starts to go up to 155, 160 in a heart rate. Just super easy. But if you stay on top of riding, stay on top of that, try to hit at least, 8 hours a week of riding, boom, that'll be a huge help for you. Trail Feature says, I just want to point out only one YouTuber in here has a purple wrench. What does that mean, a purple wrench? I need to learn more about YouTube. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I'm excited for Josh. I'm going to start reading these comments now. I'm excited for Josh and for Biker with a 1 to do their weight loss things. Hey, it's freaking tough, man. Just stay at it. And, watching your video, it sounds like you're motivated and ready to do it. John Yu says, I'm 5'8", 140 pounds, riding a medium, MTB yumyum, every video. All of my friends give me crap that I say that, but that's what I say. Mountain biking is great for calorie burning and getting in shape, Josh says. Yeah, 100%. Trail Features. Joe, what's a purple wrench? I don't know what that is. Yeah, Daily Mountain Biker. Dude, I'll bet you could get a sponsorship with Transition. You ought to. You could get that Spur for free, and then a heart rate monitor. Dude, you got to get a heart rate monitor. if you're not riding a bike with a heart rate monitor, you're missing out on really important data. Michael Glidewell did the road bike today. That's the other thing. A lot of you guys are mountain bikers, and so you're not going to like hearing this. But if you want to get a real workout, go get a road bike. I'm telling you, I can get so much more work done on a road bike than I can a mountain bike. The reason why, and I'll just say this real quick, is a road bike allows me to stay on consistent power and consistent cadence. The problem with mountain biking is you'll have to get up these steep sections all the time, so you're kind of always going at a high heart rate. And what you need to do is you need to bring your heart rate down, then max it out, and then heart rate down, and do these intervals trainings. A great person to follow on YouTube, if you want to, who's got some excellent videos, is Tyler. His YouTube channel is called The Vegan Cyclist, and he's incredible. If you follow The Vegan Cyclist on YouTube and look for his training videos, that's an incredible way. I mean, the weight will just come right off you. And he's a vegan. I think that helps too. I'm not vegan, but anyway. Let's see if there's any more Cocoa Joy here. Okay, well, I still want to know what the purple wrench was, Joseph. Just cut out, Bike Some says just cut out a beer for a year. I've gone from 195 pounds to 165 pounds. So wow, okay, so not drinking beer. All right, well, Josh, it means I've been given far too much responsibility for my emotional capacity. Trail Features, you've got a wrench too. I forgot about that. Tim, you think mountain biking is a better workout than road biking? That's interesting. Then how come all the mountain bikers ride trainers and ride road bikes? Just saying, bud. All right, well, the purple wrench means moderator. Oh, okay. Well, the wrenches on mine are blue for some reason. I don't know. Well, I hate to close down the live stream because it looks like you guys are having so much fun in the chat. Maybe I'll just leave. Maybe I'll just leave the chat open and the live stream open while I go watch the movie with my wife. Oh, I see. What's my favorite Cocoa Joy flavor? The original. Just the regular original. They make it in all sorts of different flavors, but I don't really enjoy those as much. Yeah, Michael, yeah, these are all blue wrenches, yeah. Hey, Josh, thanks for making an appearance on my my YouTube channel. Same thing with you, MTB Savant and Trail Features, and maybe there's other of you who have YouTube channels. I just didn't know it. I apologize if that's the case. I just recognize the ones that I recognize. All right, guys, thanks for coming in. John says this was his first live chat. Jason, I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Yeah, it can get kind of ridiculous. I'm going to go watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix. Anyway, the reason why I was 15 minutes late tonight to the live stream tonight is because I was hanging out with my sister from Arizona. She's in town for a week, her and her husband and her 2 kids. So we were up at my dad's house, all of us hanging out and having dinner and stuff. And anyway, we got into politics and all sorts of stuff. I would love to talk politics with this group on a live chat one night. I wonder how that would go. As long as everyone was kind. The important thing about politics is that everyone has a voice. Everyone has the option to say their peace of mind. The scariest thing we have in this country, in my opinion, is the stopping of conversations. Everyone should be able to talk. We should respectfully listen to everyone's conversation. And honestly, maybe we should talk politics one night in here. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching my YouTube videos. If nobody watched them, I wouldn't make them. And hopefully you guys like bike reviews. And yeah, I enjoy making them. I like riding lots of different bikes. And yeah, that's a wrap. I'm going to turn this thing off. Thanks, Bill. And thanks, Michael, for moderating. Yeah, we'll see you guys. Thanks.